Good evening, everybody, and welcome from St. Timothy's Episcopal Church in beautiful Henderson, Nevada. Every Sunday evening, right around 5 o'clock, we get here in person and have a short and wonderful half-hour, 35-minute worship service. And after that, we eat dinner and eat, drink, and are merry and really enjoy one another's company. 2 months ago, roughly, we started broadcasting these live streams. And normally, almost every week, we have a speaker from the congregation or the community share. It's usually, it's intentionally personal. It's intentionally a testimony or sharing. And we're very blessed tonight to hear from one of our church members, Miss Jackie Deininger. And I turn you over to her right now. Let's welcome her with love.
Good evening. I'm Jackie. Most of you know me. I've had a really incredible journey for the last 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks. Just over 4 weeks ago, I had to take my oldest son, 43 years old, to the ER. He was in terrible pain. And I sat with him for hours until they'd done all the tests and told me all the bad news of what was wrong with him and what would happen and what wouldn't happen. And for a mother, that's for later. I left the ER where he was waiting for a room to go to from the ER. And in the morning, I would be told which room he was in. And when I got there the next morning, I was told he was in ICU, where he remained for 16 days, actually 20 days, but 16 days on a ventilator and tubes and wires coming out of everywhere. I'd never seen anything like it, never. And that was a hard thing for a mother to see for her child, or anybody, but definitely my child. I didn't handle it very well, but the nurses were great, and they caught me and put their arms around me. But they were always very truthful, which I do appreciate. I was told that he was so sick, he might not make it. This is all about the power of prayer. I have never prayed so hard. I have never had so many people in England and Australia, where I have relatives, and here in this wonderful church, and my neighbors and my friends everywhere have been praying for Steve. And a week after he was in that very stormy, rainy, floody day that we got as a result of the California hurricane leftovers from the Pacific, we got that. And I was sitting in the car waiting for my granddaughter to come out so I could take her to her job. And a doctor called me. This was another doctor. He had 5 doctors. And one doctor asked me for my permission to do surgery because he said he is declining all the time and we don't know why, but we think it might be that some of his pancreas has died and we need to get that out. And I asked what was the risk. He said, it's a great risk. And a lot of things can happen and I can't guarantee anything. So I asked him what I always ask my vet for my pets, what would you do if it was your son? And he said, I would do the surgery because if I don't, in a couple of days, I might wish I had. So I said, go ahead and do that. And still, he wasn't declining, but he wasn't getting any better. The doctor didn't want him on the ventilator any longer. His kidneys had failed. And he was in a mess. So I agreed that he could have a thank you, tracheotomy, when the doctor wanted to take out the tubes. The first surprise that everybody got was that he breathed heavily when the tubes came out, because I now know that they thought that was probably going to be it. I didn't know that. And they were amazed that he did that. He took a deep breath when that came out. I was in there, and they didn't do the tracheotomy, and the doctor said, I'm going to give him a couple of days and see how he goes. So they did. Now, before that, Chris came with me to pray. It was before that, wasn't it? And he prayed with us and for us, and holy oil. And the next morning, when I went to see him, the nurses said, we can't believe this. He's really seems to be rallying just from last night. And I said, right, well, that's because he was prayed on by my pastor and God. And one said, you believe in that? I said, I do believe in that. I do, because so many people have been praying for him. And then he was status quo for a little bit, about a week. Father Chris came again. And the next day, they couldn't believe it. The doctors couldn't believe it. We don't believe that he is rallying like this. He's going to probably be okay. So he is going to be okay. And we brought him home on Friday. And he's very weak. And he's got a couple of tubes still in there, but they'll be removed this week. And a nurse came today. And the nurse talked to me afterwards, and he said, I read 80 of a 100-page report on your son last night. And he said, nobody expected him to live. He was supposed to die. And it's a miracle. I said, yes, it is. And that's God, and my pastor did that. He said, you really believe that? I said, yes, I do. He smiled and he said, my girlfriend is a nurse on that floor, and she told me this man wasn't supposed to survive. So, if anybody ever doubts the power of prayer, don't. It works. Thank you.